as the sun goes down over the buoy wall and the bleating tree frog croaks from its lair in the pipes. We take in Stewart's connectors to the soft hose going into the pool. Soft hose connected to the poly pipe. Valve is on. Measuring stick says 37 centimetres of water, as against, I think, 68 centimetres when that tank is full. You're happy down there? So there's 3,470 litres in there because I used 140 litres earlier on today. On top of the 1,266 litres I used yesterday, on top of the 1,400 litres I used on the 8th of October. So I need to shove about 3.5 tonnes of water back up the hill. So while I go and talk to the Aquarius project pump down at the dam, how's about you stick around the clearing, eat biscuits and enjoy your life? Yeah? Okay, off we go. And ideally, when I get back up here, there should already be about 600 litres transferred into the tank. And the sprinkler's all set up to take probably 480 litres while I'm walking back down to switch the pump off after doing the transfer. Let's do the pipe walk again. It turns out that at night in the rain, this 6-minute walk turns into an 8-minute walk. Note well the position of that hose connector compared to the rock. Want to see whether the pipe's moving up or down the hill. When it's loaded up and under pressure, I'm thinking there's so much of it going on both sides of a little ridge that it probably can't really migrate up and down the hill. But an ounce of actual observation and experiment is worth several tonnes of hypothetication, theorisation, speculation, and outright bloody guesswork. Here's another one of our connection pipe movement markers. Now on Friday night when I come down here at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, we'd had 7 millimetres of rain. Never having been in possession of a pump beside a waterhole before, but having spent 58 years listening to the radio warning people to go and move your pump every time it rains and the water level's expected to come up. Yeah, I was a bit anxious, so I come down here after 7 millimetres of rain in the worst drought we've ever had, and behold, surprise, the water level had not shifted. And I know that with a fair degree of certainty because the water level was right on the liquid paper mark, where at 7 PM on the 8th of October I had marked where the tide line was on tide mark rock. So 7 millimetres of rain didn't do anything. During the night we had a further 12 millimetres of rain, and the dam had come up 3 centimetres, and it's still up 3 centimetres. And as the water was 10 inches away from where the pump was mounted, I moved the pump. uphill about another foot before sitting down and figuring out that for the first 7 millimetres of rain at the end of a drought, you don't get any runoff in this little gully. After the first 7 millimetres, then every millimetre causes 2.5 millimetres of rise in dam level. And presumably as the expansion of the area of the runoff that makes it down to the dam occurs, as the rain continues for longer, then the shape of the basin will kind of sort of compensate. So I'm hoping that I can sort of learn to adjust that and then maybe rely on having some hard, fast figure I can store in my head and say, yeah, well, it's only rained this much, therefore I don't have to go and move the pump yet because it was this far above water level and thus and such amount of rain will cause it to rise so much. In the meantime, time to start the pump and see how much taking 3.5 tonnes out makes in terms of difference. I think we're going to see quite a bit more of tide marker rock, but temperature's going up. My next door neighbour's bore is not yet online, so therefore I want this water in the clearing, just in case the fire comes from the east and burns the pump and the pipeline before I can move any more water up the hill. Sit on full tanks is the current wisdom. Give the pump just a little bit of water to dig itself a mud bed with. Thus, as the flat tards like to say, water always finds its own level. Is that not right? Okay, should be running at the other end. Now we just go up and see how it's working. Not leaking there, that's a good sign. Walking at a brisk clip, as they say. Well, that's not moving, is it? And this is one of the steeper parts of the track. So if it's not migrating downhill there, it's not migrating downhill anywhere. Is my conclusion. And that's not leaking and it's not moving either. So clearly the down dale and uphill trick, it seems to work when it comes to more or less effectively stabilising the pipe. It's not slippery enough for the bit that runs across the top of the ground on the level to migrate backwards and forwards under the tension of the gravity pulling on the water in the extended downwind leg. It stays put, just like a well-behaved, good-mannered hose or pipe should. And it all seems ominously quiet, doesn't it? Yet the water is coursing on by. And the measuring stick is at almost 49.5, 50 centimetres. I make that perilously close to 100 litres a minute. And I did calculate it last time at 93 litres a minute. Which is a kind of a neat coincidence because 1 centimetre in that pool is 93.8 litres. $36. One thing wrong with this measuring stick, if you're not careful, it'll give you wrong readings. $36.5. Like a babbling brook. And so, for the record, in case of a fire, the theory is you start that pump, have that pump running the sprinkler over whatever you consider to be the area of most likely to get threatened. Run that sprinkler on the firefighting pump in the clearing at 60 litres a minute while you go down to the dam to start the dam pump. The dam pump is set up to fill straight into the same tank that the firefighting pump is sucking out of. So 60 litres a minute coming out, 93.8 litres a minute going in. So even if that tank wasn't full to start with, it should be full by the time I get back up from the dam. At that point, the dam can get hooked onto the sprinkler and the firefighting pump can run the 3 hoses to deal with spot fires. Or it can go back to idle while we wait for an ember attack while sprinkling with the dam water while sitting on 15 tonnes in the buoy walls. All assuming that one gets a little bit of time in which to implement all these detailed defensive fantasies. Or maybe, to be honest, these are defensive tactics. The strategy is having all this shit in situ before the fire shows up. That's the strategy. The other strategy is to sit on full tanks from the dam, letting passing showers fill the dam up, while giving the next door neighbour $50 a week so I can hook up to his bore's water tank and get 2 of those per week for $50, which is not bad, considering the price I was paying the water carter to bring it out from town. And I sorted out the actual price for water from town. From town, $3.50 per tonne at the standpipe. So the water carter was paying $35 for his 10 tonnes, driving it out here, charging me only $200 for doing it. And I say only, meaning only, because he's got to buy the truck, maintain the truck, register the truck, get all these licenses. Yeah, a lot of hassle. Feed it with diesel. Yeah, and he was only getting $165 on that deal. So he's working pretty hard for his money. I thought he was getting the water for about 1/10 of that price from town, which means, yeah, I'm getting it very cheap if I'm getting it at $4.12. To be honest, might have to offer him more, but I do like the idea of $50 for 60 tonnes. I kind of like that. And because tonight's effort brings it up to pretty close to one of these tanks that I will have sucked out of the dam, under the old-fashioned forester's idea that if you cut down 1 tree, you should plant 2 trees, if not 3 trees. If I pull 6 tonnes of water out of the dam, I think it might be good manners if I buy 12 tonnes and put 12 tonnes back into the dam. And with this particular network, I will be able to, put water in that prism tank and then using exactly the same hose, siphon it back out and run it down to the dam. I might not even have to put it through the pump. But if I have to use a pump, I will. I'll try not to, though. Just don't know about those uphill down daily bits, how they're going to deal with a siphon. But I think the weight of the water going down for the final probably 10 metres vertically. That should pull any amount of air bubbles over the hump and down the hill. So I should be able to just siphon from the prism tank or any of these buoy walls back down into the dam. Specifically for the purposes of having more water available for sprinkling from the dam in the face of a fire. If I know I've put 12 tonnes in there, that's 12 tonnes that I can be fairly certain of using. In the 58th year, I finally go industrial on this business of being an aquarian, the water carrier. $60. By the look of that, I see 63 as being as high as it's going to go. So we're looking for 63 centimetres, not 68 centimetres. Kind of makes more sense. I guess I had it written down wrong somewhere up there. Or I couldn't read my own handwriting, one of the two. Well, that's looking pretty close, isn't it? Okay. We have water on the grey. And so now we switch him off. We undo the string. And bring out our soft siphon pipe. Cover up its Stewart's fitting with a spare hose nozzle. Plug its spare end so you don't get a wasp going in there and building a nest. And then, without even really needing to move that, come over here and then we connect the pump at the dam to the sprinkler. There we go. And that puts out 60 litres per minute. While I take note of the time, walk on up to the hut, grab a torch as a precaution, grab my head torches for the fun of it, and set off to walk down and turn the pump off. While this delightful machine takes all the pressure off it. If you'll pardon the pun, taking pressure off the pump, as well as relieving me of the need to water it by hand with a fire hose. Labour-saving devices, by Jove. And once again, the fact is I'm carrying a coffee mug instead of a fuel can. So that means I have to do this walk again tomorrow to refill the pump. But that's not too bad, because I also forgot the measuring stick. So to see how much I've sucked the dam down in comparison with 3 centimetres above the liquid paper tide line. So yeah, I've got 2 things to do tomorrow on my pipe walk. This one is just to switch the thing off before the pump runs out of petrol or the dam runs out of water. Okay, here we are. There we go. Look at that. We have sucked 2 centimetres out of the dam. There's something like 4 tonnes of water. There's a centimetre on top of where it was before the runoff from the rain started to arrive. So, there's more water in the dam than I thought. At this point, 1 centimetre is 2 tonnes. So, isn't it a good thing I brung me torch? And of course, me 2 head torches, one giving me a general all around view, and the other one which lights up and shows me what's happening further away, which I find to be a surprisingly useful combination when getting around at night. 1 head torch with 2 little lights to show you what's happening right in front of your face, and 1 on telephoto. Not a patch compared to a torch, but the only thing wrong with these lithium ion torches is that you never get any idea of when they're going to quit. You've got absolute full power until the battery decides it's almost flat, and then the battery overcharge or over discharge protection kicks in and you've got nothing. So therefore, yes, I grabbed my torch, but I also grabbed a hold of not 1 but 2 head torches. As I said, the one that lets me see what's down here and the one which lets me see what's happening out there. And head torches are great things. I think the secret military spec items when I was a kid. These days, everybody's got one, or in my case, 2. Okay, so this thing certainly did what it was supposed to do, and then we put the Stewart's cap on the end of the flexible transfer pipe following the valve on the Aquarius Project water lifting pipe. The lay flat gee, night camera work doesn't work well with this, does it? Anyway, the lay flat we bring back across the road and we leave it lying in the wet spot, because tomorrow we have to play yet again with those Stewart's compatible hose tails. This we carry over to its stowage position. Over here beside the Xantherias. So it's resting on the ground, out of the way, unlikely to be run over, more or less regardless of who comes up the driveway. And I've kind of had second thoughts about leaving this out overnight. I might just bring it up to the hut. In a rough hand flake, just to prevent some possum deciding to have a chew on it because it's wet and it might taste good and there is a drought on and there's all that other water lying on the ground, you know. I think I'll just lay it there in the hammock for the night. 63 centimetres. I'll lay that turn the bloody stick the right way up, and it is in fact 68.5, 67.5. Right, that's 70 there. Yep. 67.5 centimetres of water in the prism tank. 26.5 inches of water, 12 foot in diameter, for them who thinks in oldie-fashioned imperials. Okay, so now in its place on the wall, and then just like an actual farmer, I will go and make sure that the animals have been seen to. Mistake, mistake, mistake. Should have wiped the dry grass off the bottom of the water dish, water can, before putting it back. For the second lot of 10 litres. Oh well, such is life. Hear the frogs going off. Okay. And now that the animals have been given a drink, because that's who matters, I guess it's finally time for me to put the watering can neatly away in its place in among the clutter of the squalid little hovel. Adjust the drip rate, plenty of water in there. And grab spiced ginger beer. At some point, I really must put myself to the trouble of sticking new towels on this, but the fact of the matter is, a tattered, battered, mouldy wet rag works just as well as a neat, clean, shiny wet rag in this situation, doing this job. Keeping the drinks cold. What do you reckon? Hey? Little possums? Now, I get to relax and take the hat off and take off the other cute little head torch pull the top off this. Label out. Arr. Ginger beer. Bundaberg. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. Ciao.